everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Fireside Chats. I'm your host, Patrick Vincent, and on today's episode, we have special guest Danny of Body Politic, which is a popular Instagram page that started back in 2015, and I'm glad to have him on today's show to, first of all, kick off this brand new 10-episode series I'm doing, and also finally sit down and talk with Danny to learn about what he did to get involved in politics, what his plans are, and what he has accomplished overall. I'm looking forward to sharing these stories with you guys as we go through this series moving forward, and I hope you enjoy the conversations we have on them. So now, with that being said, let's dive into this first interview. Danny, I'm glad to have you in. It's good to have you here for the first show of the Fireside Chats. It's going to be a fun time, and I'm really glad you're able to come out and be the first guest on the show today.
Yeah, man, thank you. I'm excited to be on the inaugural episode.
The inaugural, yeah, no, you've been doing this about since 2015 as well, correct?
Well,
Or did you start in 2016?
yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell like when I actually started it. It's been like it's been like an organic thing that's kind of morphed into different things, the body politic over the years. But I started doing videos in 2015, 2016, like during the primary.
All right, yeah, that was a good time. Good time to start up too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, not many people know. I don't even really know too much background about yourself. So I think this is going to be a fun episode to dive into because, if you're a man of mystery, some would say right now. So it'll be fun to dive in and learn about you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I started off kind of with the idea of not having my face or my voice in the beginning. I think one, because I didn't really want it to be about me, as but then also like I was working for the Democratic Party at the time. I was like a paid staffer, so like I didn't want like my superiors to know what I was doing on Instagram. So it was, I started off that way on purpose and then just kind of kept going with it until recently. I've been doing more videos talking and actually putting my name on the account and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, you definitely, that makes sense now that you put it that way, especially working in the DNC. That's a hot seat. That's a hot position to be in.
Yeah, I was working for the Democratic Party of California and like doing local races at the time. So yeah, even though now like a handful of my campaign managers and bosses like follow the body politic now, so I don't really know how they found me. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, they do now, but I don't think they knew that it was me. So I don't know.
Right?
I checked morning and they still follow me. So I don't know, it doesn't matter anymore. I've kind of broken ties. I haven't worked for the party since 2016. So
understandable. Yeah. I was going to say, I haven't been a member of the party since 2016. So that's right. So what's something, let's find out the roots. Let's see what got you into politics. When exactly did you first get involved in the scene?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up in a particularly like political family. My parents, they voted here and there, but like politics wasn't really like around the household, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that I kind of first became aware of politics probably in the 2000 election, Bush versus Gore. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was 16, so I couldn't vote yet, but I remember watching what was happening and being like, that's weird that a guy could lose. Bush lost, but then he became president. I remember thinking like, that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? But like not really becoming politically engaged at the time. I was still in high school. I just cared about like basketball and girls and shit. So like, I didn't really get engaged, but I remember like waking up a little bit and being like, all right, this is strange that this guy seemingly just stole the presidency. And so from there, I went to college and down in here in LA, and I would say that I think like a lot of people that are my age, I'm 35. What really started to get me engaged, I think, was the war on the war in Iraq, and Afghanistan. So that was kind of a big deal because a lot of my friends were being sent to war, and it seemed like it was all based on lies. I think we all understand that now. So. The Bush administration, 9/11 in the Iraq war is when I actually started to like pay attention to what was going on in the country. But the first campaign I worked on was in 2004 for John Kerry. I did a little bit of volunteering.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so that was the first time, we would like set up booths on campus at college and like try to like push stickers and shit like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like a little bit of phone banking and that sort of thing. But so John Kerry was the first official campaign that I got involved in. I was lucky because the campaign headquarters in San Fernando Valley was like next door to my apartment, so like
Oh,
it was very easy. I was like, oh, I'll go in here and see what's going on.
right.
Yeah, so I remember in that election, I actually thought John Kerry was going to win. I remember being crushed on election night.
You're like, oh man, I just can't believe it.
Yeah, no, yeah, and Bush actually won that election. I don't know. Some weird shit happened in Ohio, but but even at that point, man, I wasn't like totally politically engaged. You know what I mean? Like, I, I knew I was anti-Bush. I knew I wasn't a Republican. But it was a strange time for America. I think you were probably pretty young for 9/11, right? What were
Yeah, I
you like?
was in kindergarten when I
Oh,
went
Jesus.
nine. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 9/11 happened. I was a senior in high school. I remember sitting in first period and like they rolled out the TV, and we all sat and watched it. Where are we? Yeah, so I was trying to think because I figured you were going to ask this. I think what really kind of activated me was Hurricane Katrina in
Oh.
2005. Yeah, I remember watching what was happening. I remember at that point I was a history major in college, so I remember debating it in like a Pan African Studies class that I took, and we were watching what was happening, and I remember being like most people, like shocked and appalled that like that sort of disaster could happen and the government could react in such a poor way. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So Hurricane Katrina was kind of like a waking up moment to be like, damn, man, like at that point I didn't really realize that like the government like doesn't give a fuck about certain people or most
Yeah,
people.
yeah. That's what it set in for you. It's like, wow, after this huge environmental
Yeah,
devastation we're seeing, the government's not even showing up for their own people.
yeah, I remember being really shocked by it. And I think like the history of my progression in politics has been like constantly like kind of being a little naive to things and being like, holy shit, like I fucking didn't know it was that bad. You know
You're
what I
like,
mean? So
damn.
yeah, because I've always kind of wanted to believe it. I grew up in a family that was like military, a lot of the dudes, and like we were like a pro-America family, so I just didn't really think about a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Katrina was big for me, and then I remember vividly the 2006 midterms. That was when the Democrats took over the House and the Senate, so that was like an election I was engaged in. I remember, and so as far as like working on campaigns, I think like the big start was probably Obama in 2008.
All right.
Um, yeah, like I was really enamored and like I got caught up in like the Obama fever back then, man. I was like,
Understandable.
yeah, I was like 22, 23. And at that time, it was such a different country, politically
Yeah.
speaking. And like, it was just different, you know what I mean? But I remember at the time, like, those of us in school and stuff, like, we were choosing sides, Hillary or Obama. And I remember it
Hmm.
being like kind of like a weird thing when I chose Obama. A lot of my friends were pissed. So I got involved in that campaign and, did volunteering and phone making and shit like that. So Obama was a big deal, and I was all about it, man. Like I was excited about Obama as I am about this current movement with Bernie Sanders, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So the Obama presidency or the election was a big deal. I like cried with the rest of the country when he won. But
Um,
at that point, I still wasn't thinking about politics in the way that a lot of us are thinking about it now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't realize at the time that Barack Obama took more money from special interest and corporations and super PACs than anybody. I mean, I think he set the record at the time. But
yeah.
when you're in it, when you're in that bubble, like you don't really think about it because nobody talks about it. And at that time, that wasn't really a part of the discourse. I mean, Bernie Sanders has been talking about this shit for like 50 years or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just like I was in it. I was watching MSNBC and fucking CNN and like you just don't think about those things. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's
So
kind of just a little echo chamber. It's not like it's something we purposely look for either. It's just sometimes
yeah.
we accidentally get trapped in these things.
Yeah, exactly. So Obama got elected, and like I didn't, I wasn't a paid like campaign person yet, So
Yeah.
I graduated college in 2008. took me a little while. I didn't graduate before.
Right.
I got my degree in history. You know, I've always been interested in history and politics and stuff like that. I focused on like modern American politics and history. So like the 60s, I was really into the Kennedys, specifically Bobby Kennedy. Yeah, like I wrote papers on him, and like Bobby was like a big time hero for me. But so I graduated like right into the Great Recession. You know what I mean?
Yep, right.
So,
in 08.
yeah, it was rough, man. Like I needed to get a fucking job. You know, at that point I was still like kind of swimming around in the mainstream thought of America. So I'm like, I got to get a job. I got to get fucking health insurance. This is before Obamacare, obviously. So at the time, my girlfriend at the time worked as an insurance broker. So I got an entry-level job at an insurance company. So I was lucky. You know, I found a job during a giant economic downturn. But, you know, there are certain industries they call them recession-proof. And the insurance industry, you know, it's mandated. You have to buy insurance. So the insurance industry was doing fucking fine, you know. So I took a job. I worked for the largest insurance brokerage in the country. It's called American Wholesale Insurance. And I was the assistant to the executive vice president. And we focused, or our group, the type of insurance we did was public entity insurance. So we would insure like school districts, cities and counties and shit like that.
Like municipals and stuff.
Exactly, municipalities. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you know, it was any reason that somebody would sue a school district or a city, you know, we were in charge of that. But as brokers, like I didn't actually sell insurance, so I wasn't like an insurance salesman, or like we actually didn't put up any money to insure anybody. We were just like the middleman, just taking a cut. Yeah. So I did that for a while, and then that took me to New York City. So I'm like in my late 20s, and because I wanted to transfer, I wanted to be a New Yorker. So then I moved to New York, and I started working downtown Manhattan, Wall Street Plaza. So I kind of immersed myself in that whole scene, which was a trip. And you know what I mean? You know, at that time, I was kind of, in my mind, I kind of knew I was doing a job that I didn't feel comfortable with, like from a, you know, values. Morally, but you know, I kind of justify it like, you know, I'm not with these guys in spirit, but I'm going to take their money. Like, fuck these guys.
Yeah, that's basically how I would see it in that case.
Yeah, I had no choice, and I liked it. I was living a Manhattan lifestyle. I was living in Brooklyn mostly, but you know, we had money, and like it was cool. You know what I mean? In New York City, so the group that I worked in we did New York City construction insurance. So like, like Trump stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Trump stuff.
Yeah, like indirectly, Trump was like kind of like a client, you know what I mean? Because he builds in New York City, yeah. So I remember hearing a lot of this stuff. This is like 2013, 2014. I remember hearing a lot of like the rumors about Trump back then, that he couldn't get any money from American banks anymore because we worked down on Wall Street, but I didn't work in finance. So like people were like, yeah, dude, nobody gives Trump money anymore. Like he's gone bankrupt so many times. Like the word down on Wall Street of Trump is that he was kind of like a bozo. That like, you know what I mean?
Bozo, and now he's the president.
I know, it's a fucking trip. So so at that point, but I remember somebody telling me, because our office was right next to Deutsche Bank, right? And I remember somebody saying like Deutsche Bank is the only bank on Wall Street that will give Trump money, which is kind of funny because now they're part of the entire investigation.
Yep, they drew their self in that one.
Yeah, so it was trippy. So I did that, and I was living in New York and living the corporate life, and then as going into like the 2015 primary, I remember, you know, all the talk was Hillary and Bernie. I actually remember a conversation sitting there with like a bunch of like insurance people in an office, and them like the question to like the group was like, who would be like the perfect president in your eyes? And I remember like saying, well, you know, in a perfect world, it would be Bernie Sanders. And like crickets, nobody knew who he was. You know what I mean?
You're like, Bernie,
but I remember saying that. Yeah, I remember saying that and thinking like, there's no way that would ever fucking happen. You know, like it was so outside of like the realm of possibility that a guy like Bernie could be president. And now he's getting closer and closer. So I finally decided I couldn't do the insurance thing anymore, man. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is not the type of life I want to live. You know, I don't want to be in an office. And it also turned out I just wasn't really that good at it. You know, it was getting to the point. It was getting to the point in that job that like, my superiors were like, all right, dude, like you know, it's almost time for you to like break out on your own. Like, do you have what it takes to do this life? You know, and they're like, you're smart and like, you don't fuck up or anything like that. But like, we're not really sure. I remember having a couple conversations with a couple of dudes, and they were like, we're not really sure that you're cut out for this, dude. Like, to make money in this game, like, you have to like be 100% in and like ready to step on heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point, I just like I couldn't do it anymore, man. So I like went to my boss's office and we like kind of broke up amicably. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm gonna leave.
This is it.
And yeah, and he was like, cool. I was trying to figure out what to do with you anyway.
He was like,
Yeah.
this was mutual. This.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was just like a super rich dude.
Yeah.
It was kind of annoying though. He was like the exec in our office, and like he lived in Florida 51% of the time, so that he didn't have to pay taxes.
Oh, awesome.
So he was like never in the office and like pulling in millions, and like I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because a lot of the dudes in the corner offices down there, in just in corporate America in general, like they work until they die, man. So I was looking
that's the fucked up thing. Those office jobs, that
it was weird because I'm like I want to be you, I guess, one day, but like you ain't going anywhere. So like I don't understand. Like something's got to give. So anyways, I left that shit, moved back to LA, and a friend got me a job with a consulting firm working on local elections. So I finally got like a paying gig in politics in like 2014, 2015. I worked on the mayor of West Hollywood, his re-election campaign. So it was like West Hollywood's a very small town, but it has its own government, but it's like surrounded by LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, so it's funny. I got to work like on a very small election, and like a small team, you know what I mean? And like the mayor of West Hollywood, he's a good dude. He's still the mayor, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is John D'Amico. He's a really good dude. And so I kind of learned my ropes doing that election. And it was funny, man. Like West Hollywood politics is funny because it's like a rich area. So like the issues weren't like income inequality or healthcare or anything. Like the issues were like building codes and like people being pissed because like somebody on their block like put like an extension on their house and like it looks bad, so it's like there's a lot of like infighting and a lot of like dastardly politics, like stealing each other's campaign signs and like a lot of shit talking going on. It felt like a high school election, honestly. But
that's what it seems like.
Yeah, but like with millions and millions of dollars at stake, So like it was trippy, man. So I did that, working for this firm, and then we did other elections. I did a state assembly race. We did a failed city council race. I did like some dark ops, is what they call it, where I'm doing like opposition research. I was trying to like root out corruption in City Hall, and we lost. So I was doing that for a couple of years, and this is all kind of during the primary, the Democratic primary, and I remember like declaring that I'm all about Bernie, you know what I mean? And that actually being kind of like a weird decision at the time, like I was going against the grain because I'm working on these campaigns, and this is like the Democratic Party, and even at that point, man, like nobody ever talked about money in politics, and like I never even asked like who's paying my checks, and like who's writing my check. It was strange because we didn't do any fundraising or anything. We were just doing like community outreach. I would be knocking on doors. I've knocked on every door in West Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, and in Glendale in Los Angeles. So, it's like thousands and thousands of doors. But I never really questioned things, even at that point. So like, I think for myself and for a lot of people, Bernie Sanders was like a great awakening. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that any of the shit that he talked about was even possible. Like it wasn't even on the menu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the revolution of my mind was within the Bernie Sanders campaign. And, where, he basically said like, things don't have to fucking be this way, man. You know what I mean? Like there's a better way to do things. Like you can run I remember thinking at that point, I'm like, he's not taking any money from super PACs or anything. I was like, how the fuck is he gonna do that?
Like, how's this?
Like in my mind, in the bubble, me and you talk about establishment corporate Democrats now. I was in that, and I was. Yeah. That's why when I talk about them now, like I can come at it with a little bit of authority because like I was fucking in that game, dude, and like I know how they think, and when I was working on those campaigns, like I thought that we were doing the Lord's work. I was like, I'm on the blue team, like we're fighting these Republicans, but I didn't realize that I was also kind of part of the problem. So, it really clicked, I think, during the primary when I walked into my local campaign office and one of my campaign managers was on the computer, and I was like, what are you up to? And I won't name names. The campaign manager was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out a way to prove that Bernie Sanders is a racist. And I was like, huh? What? Like,
why?
what do you, yeah, like, why would you do that? I was like, I thought we were liberals here. And so this person was like, they're like, well, he grew up in Brooklyn, but then he went to Vermont. So he must have left Brooklyn and went to Vermont because he hates black people. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, mind blown. This is like right towards the end of like my last paying gig.
What?
Mind blown, dude. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I didn't know, I was still so naive at the time, man. Like, even at that time, I remember, and you might remember, like, the media fascination with Obama in 2008. That this dude, this young black dude, his name is Barack Hussein Obama, and he's killing the game. I remember, it was the biggest news story.
Yeah, he's all over.
Yeah, so I thought that when I saw Bernie rising, I'm like, this is even a crazier story. I was like, you have an old socialist Jew from Brooklyn who's like radical as fuck and winning states. I'm like, this is going to be the biggest story in the news. And I turn on MSNBC and fucking crickets, man. You know what I mean? Nothing. Bernie blackout. They're showing Trump empty podiums. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, how are they not covering this? And then, after that experience with my campaign manager trying to prove Bernie's racist, it all kind of clicked in those couple of months where I was like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong team.
You're like, hold the phone.
Yeah. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. You know what I mean? So we ended up losing that primary. It was a local race.
Okay.
And then I kind of moved around for a while. I moved back to New York for a minute. And then I ended up going back to Northern California. I grew up in San Jose, by the way. I didn't say that. Northern California, Silicon Valley. Yeah, I forgot to say that. So the last campaign I actually worked on is we just did voter registration in Northern California. This is the general election, so Hillary Trump. And I didn't want to work at that point. I'm like, I can't work for candidates that take corporate money. Can't do it. You know what I mean? So that pretty much narrows down your choices to nothing. It's either you get a job with Byrne or that's it. You know what I mean? So I did voter registration leading up to the general election in 2016. Our campaign was actually funded by Tom Steyer. You know that fool, right?
Yeah, is he still running? Or
yeah.
I was trying to decide.
Yeah, he's trying to get on the debate stage. I don't think he might. You can't really buy your way onto the debate stage, but
with these rules.
So at that point, I was doing voter registration, and we would do events like we go to like a naturalization ceremony.
Okay.
So like you go to like City Hall, and like there's hundreds of people in a room, and they all become U.S. citizens like all at once. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then when they come out those doors as newly minted citizens, you have a table of the Democratic Party on one side, and then you have the Republican Party on the other side, and it's a frenzy to try to get these people registered.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I remember doing that, and it was funny. Like the Republican side were right across the aisle from us, and they had like Trump cutouts and stuff. It was so weird.
Yeah, you're like, that's really gonna help you guys. Yep.
It was hilarious because nobody would go over there. I mean, this is right at the height of Trump screaming about Mexicans and stuff. So it's like, dude, there's no way it's gonna happen. I also do remember though that there was a third booth and it was just Bernie Sanders.
There you go.
Like his team, you know what I mean? So like I would go over to like the Bernie Sanders booth and be like, yo, you guys, like I work for the Democrats, but I'm with you guys secretly, and they were just kind of looking at me. They're like, dude, you're a fucking nerd. Like
you're a fucking nerd.
Yeah, it's like join up, dude. Take off that blue shirt or whatever. So, anyways, but that's when I met Tom Steyer because he was funding our campaign. So, he showed up, and I remember his team. It was weird. I never met a billionaire before. You know what I mean? How often do you get to do that?
Right?
But
his team,
his team was like, let's do a photo op, and they're like, we want Tom like talking to the activists in the neighborhood and like. You know what I mean? So, like, there's pictures somewhere on the internet of me and Tom Steyer, like, having a serious conversation. And the one thing I remember, he was whatever. He was just kind of asking about Trump and stuff, you know. He was really pissed off about Trump at that point, too. I remember that was kind of weird. He had, like, I think I told you this. He had 2 black X's on his hands, and it was, like, in the morning. So I'm like, remember?
I remember this conversation. You weren't sure if he was, like, straight edge or something, right?
Yeah, I'm like, why would this dude... This billionaire fucking kind of lunatic, like, why would he have black X's on his hands? Like, was he at the club last night and he didn't wash his hands? Like, what?
What?
I remember being
Yeah.
very strange. I still think about it. Every time I see him, I'm like, Black X hands. Very strange.
You're like, hey man,
Yeah.
remember that one time? What's up with this?
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, so that was trippy. Tom Steyer, but that was the last campaign. So once on election night 2016, I was phone banking, trying to get people out to vote, and I was working for it was kind of like a Hispanic organization, Latinx, whatever you want to
Oh,
call them.
okay. They're
Yeah,
still around, right?
yes. So I was phone banking in a room full of Hispanic progressives when Trump won. So it was very sad, man. I remember him starting to win states, and people were getting fucking really sad and like crying and shit. And once he won Ohio that night, like I left because my job was done.
Yeah,
It's kind of
you're
one,
like, this is it.
yeah. And I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here, dude. So me and the speech writer, he wasn't a speech writer, but one of the kids on the campaign, we just bounced and we went up to like this field and like just smoked a bunch of pot and like listened to the results on the radio. You know what I mean? And we were
Yep.
just like, oh man, like it's actually fucking going down. This is crazy. But that's one of the funny things about working in politics, by the way, is that like if you're working on a campaign, if you do the best job that you can possibly do and you guys win, or you do a horrible job and you guys lose, you're still unemployed the next day.
Yeah,
So like
yeah, right?
it's trippy, man. So like the next day I'm like, I ain't got no job. Like it was weird, you know. So that was the last time I actually got paid because I just I didn't like make like a decision like I'm never working for the Democrats again. I just kind of stopped calling those guys for jobs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I just didn't want to do it. And it was right around that time when I changed my personal Instagram to The Body Politic. Because I was like, I have all of these ideas and I want to talk about these issues that these campaigns that I'm getting paid to work on aren't talking about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I started The Body Politic at that point. And it kind of started off, the idea is I wanted it to be like, I guess like a political organization, kind of like Our Revolution or Represent Us, like one of
Yep.
those organizations where I was gonna collect emails and shit and like, try to fucking start a revolution or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And then it's morphed like over the years into what it is now. But I guess at first, because I was always interested in like in political ads and like propaganda, political posters, you know what I mean? And like
Yep.
the power of these images and what it can do. So I was like, I'm going to do my own version of this. You know what I mean? So I basically just started making videos. At that point, it wasn't even like a news thing. I just wanted to talk about corruption and do it in my own personal way with my own style and sensibility and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that brings us to The Body Politic. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, man. Keep on going. Feel free.
Uh,
You're on a roll.
all right, cool. Yeah. So yeah, at that point, like I knew that I was talking about issues that aren't like totally sexy. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
talking about government corruption and money in politics and corporate greed and stuff. And some people are interested in that sort of thing. But I remember wanting to do it in a way that, or present it in a way that's never been done before. So, like I wanted to talk about kind of dense issues in like with like some sugar with it, you know what I mean? Or like with like pop sensibilities, I guess. So the original idea, I remember sitting on my roof in Hollywood. We had like a rooftop and we would be listening to like whatever song came out that week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And me and my buddies would be smoking a blunt and talking about politics. And, we're looking out over the LA skyline and the palm trees and it's beautiful and stuff. And I remember thinking like, I wish I can capture this in a video. You know what I mean? Like talking about issues, but listening to like the new 21 Savage record or whatever, and have nice, beautiful images and stuff. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the first video that I made, is that I'm going to talk about the reason why we don't have universal health care. And that's because insurance companies and big pharma are buying politics so that they don't have to do anything about healthcare. And I'm like, I want to put this across with like the hottest new track of the week or whatever. And I'm going to use images that I dig. So I like palm trees. I like skylines. I like architecture. I like subway trains. If you notice, I use subway trains a lot in these
Yep.
videos. Yeah, so
Yep. That is kind of a
yeah,
icon.
it's like a theme. So the idea was like I wanted somebody to stumble across this video and being like, oh shit, this new track is fire right now,
Yeah.
and like, oh shit, like those palm trees and like the pink and blue hues like look nice, but also fuck, I didn't realize that three richest dudes in America own more wealth than the bottom half. So that was the idea. I wanted people to be like, that was a sick track, and also I didn't fucking know that shit, and then move on with your day. So that was kind of the original idea. You know what I mean? Is like, this is my version of a political campaign ad, because at that point they weren't allowing me in the party. Obviously I wasn't even getting close to that sort of creative um, position. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't really designing campaign mailers and shit like that. And I was like, dude, like I was constantly critiquing. I'm like, this is wrong. Like you guys just spent thousands of dollars like on this thing, and like it doesn't say anything about the candidate. Like, who gives a fuck where you grew up? Like, nobody cares. Like, I don't care. I don't care about your fucking grandma, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's my favorite with these campaigns.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, my mother. I'm like, dude, it's cool you have a mom. Everybody has a fucking mom.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about this corruption shit? So yeah, that's pretty much how it started with political ads, and with the idea of this is going to be an organization that knocks on doors and fucking takes over the government.
Still time.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that kind of morphed, you know what I mean? Then it started to get into where I was making 100% original material, which not really. I'm still using copyrighted music, and I steal video clips from everywhere. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like documentaries about New York City. That's where I get a lot of my images. Or like I'll go and search like street footage, 1985 Manhattan. You know what I mean? It's just like some dude with a fucking camcorder in the 80s filming people walking, and I'm like, that's tight. That's kind of stuff that I like to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was like that sort of material. I kind of looked at these videos as a little bit like kind of like how hip hop music is put together. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I'm not stealing from this video, like I'm sampling. So I'll take 4 different samples of a music, some images or whatever, and I'll put it together. And this is sort of like a hip hop song, you know what I mean? Like, and how it's constructed. That's kind of how I justified it at that point. I'm like, I ain't stealing from you, man. I'm just like, I like the way you shot that subway train, so I'm going to take that, and I'm not going to give you credit for it. So whatever. And then at that point, nobody was watching. Nobody was watching at that point. So I still don't even worry about copyright shit.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's still good.
Yeah, so but then also I like to do news clips. I was like, I can't ignore what's going on here, So I kind of split it into 2. I have body politic and then body politic news.
Yeah.
And I can separate those 2 things. You know what I mean? And especially after Trump got elected, I mean, the craziest shit would happen every day. You know what I mean? Like, so I decided to start doing just news clips. You know what I mean? But still using those sensibilities where there's like an opening sequence. You know what I mean? Where I'm still using whatever music I'm listening to at that point, which is kind of always what I'm doing. Like whatever songs people hear on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, that's literally what I'm listening to at that point. So that could be like an old jazz song or like some yacht rock or like fucking, or the newest hip hop music or the oldest hip hop music. You know what I mean? So I still tried to use that sort of creative formula of what I came up with to do the news. And now it's kind of become, it's hard. People ask me in the streets and stuff, they're like, so what is it that you do or whatever? And it's still kind of hard for me to explain like what exactly it is I do. I mean, it's independent media, but I guess it's just sort of a news program. You know what I mean? But I've kind of stayed away from trying to like talk on camera, like Kyle Kalinske and those type of dudes.
Yeah.
Just because like, it seems like they already have it covered to me. Like I still do it, you know what I mean? And you do it and stuff, but like, I don't know. Like the principles of what I started is I want to do something that nobody's doing.
Yeah.
Like it's always my thought is if somebody's doing this, well, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you made that. Let me show you how I would have done that. So yeah. So I still try to do that. And so now I think it's just going to be, and now that I'm seeing like, you can actually make a living doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're the one that told me. Yeah, you're the one that told me about Patreon. I mean, I didn't ask for money for like 2 years. I didn't even know. I was like, this is just what I do for fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I by the way, side note, I went on Patreon to look up what other dudes make. Do you know how much these fools make?
I know Kyle Kalinski's up there in like what 14,000, right? I think he makes a month.
Oh yeah, that fool pulls in well over six figures a year just on Patreon.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
that's nuts.
I know it's inspiring, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
holy shit! I don't have to get a job. Like, I could
no,
do this. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no,
Like,
especially with
I
your
believe in myself.
content. People always comment when I bring up you and stuff on my live streams when we talk about it. I'm like, oh yeah, body politics always got new video out there. Like, yeah, it's always more and more crisp. You put so much
Yeah,
time and detail into it. I'm like, yeah, that guy really puts in work.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't really do anything else. This is my life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, I try to make 5 videos a day. You know what I mean? And I've got it down to the point now where it's a one person factory where I can do this shit real quick.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like I mean, if you just watch from the beginning to the end of Body Politic, like just like my catalog or whatever, like
Mm.
you can watch a man learn how to edit videos. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
in the beginning, dude, I used to just like film the TV screen with my phone and dude, they look harsh. Like
Yeah.
the old videos are tight. I'm just like, man, I was saying the same shit. Like I'm consistent, but I was like, that shit was rough.
Yeah, like
Uh,
that was sped up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, iPhone screen recording completely changed my fucking life.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. No, once I was on Android forever, and once I switched to Apple too, I started getting
Uh-huh.
a lot better quality stuff. There's more
Oh,
apps on that Apple for us, that are able to do this.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So at this point, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of going strong with Body Politic, and I'm excited. I feel like I've made like a brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I named it Body Politic, by the way. I had to like re-look up the definition this morning, but
Oh.
I remember like hearing that term in school and stuff, and I remember Obama used to say it every once in a while. It's funny. I started to have like a supercut of when people say body politic on TV because
Uh,
like yeah, like Sam Cedar says it sometimes, and but like the definition of it is basically just like a group of politically organized people.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it dates back to like medieval times,
Yeah.
and
In
in
all
that like
honesty, I didn't know that.
yeah, it dates back to like medieval times, and like the idea back then is that like I guess I'm thinking that it was kind of going along with like some sort of like Catholic imagery. I grew up Catholic, but like the idea of like the body, literally a physical body, but it represents all bodies. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
in Catholicism, like you literally go to church and like you eat the body of Christ, bro. You know what I mean? Like
You eat the
that
body of Christ.
yeah, like those little fucking Jesus flakes or whatever they call them.
That's I don't care what they're called anymore. We're calling them Jesus
Jesus
flakes.
flakes.
We're
Yeah,
calling them
yeah.
Jesus flakes.
Yeah, I used to hang around the church a lot as a kid. My grandfather was a minister, and like he was homies with a priest. So like Catholicism and like religious imagery and that kind of thing is, I still use it. I still
Yeah,
use it today. That's who I am. So yeah, so that's what we're doing now with Body Politic. I'm trying to expand. I've been trying to figure out where I'm going from here. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so I think I've made a decision with my girlfriend Casey. She's an actress.
Okay.
We're kind of making a decision to go in a direction that's like not exactly just like me talking on camera and like giving political analysis because like I like doing that and I'm okay at it, you know what I mean? And I think people like it,
Yeah.
but like I don't know, like I'm not really super comfortable with it, and I never really
Okay.
have been. I never really have been. Sometimes it's hard for me. I mean, I kind of smoke a lot of pot, so sometimes it's kind of hard for me to like
Yeah.
explain, explain things. And like I'm not as good as Kyle. I'm not as good as Michael Brooks or any of the dudes
Yeah.
and ladies that I love. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, those guys got this market covered.
They
You know what I
got
mean?
it
So like,
locked in.
yeah. So I think we're gonna take it in more of a little bit more of an abstract, like a little bit more creative direction, where we're doing things that are sort of scripted, kind of like sketches.
Yeah.
Because when I first started it, I was influenced obviously politically, by Sanders and stuff. But like from a video standpoint, I was really into Super Deluxe, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and Vic Berger, his
Yep.
editing. He actually came into my restaurant a couple weeks ago. I
Really?
looked over at a booth. I'm like, that's fucking Vic Berger.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, you're my hero, bro. I didn't go talk to him. He's with his family. But
I got you.
yeah, it's trippy. It's trippy working at this restaurant, by the way. Side note, like there's a lot of celebrities that come in, man.
Is there?
I still get excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, shit, that guy's in the Beastie Boys. Like, that's
yeah.
fucking amazing. Yeah. Or like Obama's daughter came in like a couple years ago.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, Malia, the oldest one.
Yeah.
She rolls in with her friends. I'm like, holy shit. She handed me her debit card. I'm like, you have a debit card. I just figured you had like some magical government coins or something.
Yeah.
I was like, it says your name on it. Yeah.
Put it on my tab. It's called the taxpayers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, where did I go from that tangent? Oh yeah, Super Deluxe. So,
yeah,
I'm influenced by that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Even like the Eric Andre show or Tim and Eric. You know what I mean? Like Eric Andre comes in the restaurant regularly too, which is crazy. Every time he comes in, cool. I'm just like, bro, I fucking love you.
Right?
Yeah. Anyways, so like Tim and Eric and those sort of sketches. So I think the direction we're gonna take it, like the original idea is like I've always really been into like futurism. You know what I mean? And like trying to predict the future, or even like 80s movies about like dystopian futures. You know what I mean? Like I'm always really interested in that. So I think we're going to kind of go in a direction where we're going to start filming regularly, like, for instance, like a news show that takes place 40 years from now. You know what I mean?
I can get behind that.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going, because I want to be able to comment on what's happening today in a way that nobody's doing it, and also like in an interesting way, like I'm trying to figure out how to get people to like want to support me, and I'm noticing that like just doing news clips, no matter how fucking dope they look or like whatever, like people still don't feel like they need to like pay for what I do. That's what I'm kind of noticing, because I have a nice following and I have a lot of people. Shout out to all the people that have been with me since like the beginning, dude. You know what I mean? Like there's people that are still with me, and it's exciting. So that's the idea, is that I want to be able to comment on now, because people say this a lot about elections, but like this election does kind of seem like a breaking point, like a fork in the road. Like, are we gonna keep going?
I don't think it's gonna be good. Like either way it goes, in all honesty. I mean, Bernie wins, a Democrat wins, either way. I think all these Trumpers that are going nuts already are gonna act up some more, but it's just crazy.
I'm thinking, is that like I want to be able to comment that like if we keep going down this Trump direction, if he gets reelected, there could be like no turning back type thing. So I want to create a future news show that is taking place in a Trump-topian future. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to call it Real News America, RNA. I think it sounds kind of funny.
RNA, I like it.
Yeah, so we can do stories from the perspective of that Trump won re-election and then he was just president forever or whatever, you know what I mean? So that could be a way for me to comment on, guys, like things could get really bad and we're going to try to show it to you, you know what I mean, in a way that nobody's doing it. And then on the other flip side of that, I'm going to have another alternate universe that if Bernie Sanders wins and we start marching down that path and going towards the type of future that we all dream of and that everybody has been dreaming of, activists going back hundreds of years and shit like that. So I like these ideas. I want to try to do something that's a little bit more abstract, but still being able to comment on what the fuck's going on today. You know what I mean? So I think that's the direction it's going to go in. And I hope it's successful. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think from what it sounds like, you got a pretty good idea of what direction you want to go with it and all that. I definitely think should pick up good. Like you said, you want to do something no one else is doing, and that's definitely not being done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like, so we'll do that. We have a lot of cool ideas about like, I'm really into like commercials. I mean, you can watch Body Politic, and a lot of the stuff actually looks like a commercial.
Yeah. No, it does. It looks like an infomercial or something.
Yeah, like one of the original ideas is like, I'm going to do ads for a political organization that doesn't actually exist. It's just a poor guy named Danny. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm really into commercials and advertising and stuff. So like, we're going to be able to do like parodies on commercials today. You know what I mean? So like Big Pharma commercials, everybody fucking sees them. Everybody hates them. You know what I mean? So in these, hypothetical future news shows that we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing fake commercials as well. And the first idea that popped in my head was like Big Pharma runs fucking everything, right?
Literally.
Yeah. So how far can this fucking thing go, dude? You know what I mean? Like Big Pharma now, they sponsor television shows, right?
Yep.
What would happen if Big Pharma just has their own television shows? You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
So it would be like Flomax or whatever presents Friends or Seinfeld. You know what I mean? But you would actually just put like the name of the pharmaceutical drug in the title of the sitcom or whatever, and every story is kind of about pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean?
You're like, oh man, I got some allergies today.
No, exactly. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, this story is about pharmaceuticals, like, but it's also kind of a love story. You know what I mean? So like, those are kind of the ideas, the kind of stuff that I think that nobody's doing, and that gets my gears going. You know what I mean?
It's my gears.
Yeah. So that's kind of it, man. You know what I mean? That's the body politic in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've been going a long time. Like you said, you've evolved a lot since you started the page, and again, it looks like you're moving forward with another evolution to continue growing and stuff, so that's good, you know. Sometimes we need to switch it up so we don't get what we're doing isn't stagnant.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And this is like, just like you. I mean, this is an everyday thing, dude. It's like a 24/7 job that I have myself.
Yeah, and it's definitely...
It's hard. It's hard running a fake news organization.
Right? Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of other things to talk about. You got questions?
Well, I've got some here from some followers they sent me in. Someone was curious, what's some major music inspirations in your life that have made you politically active?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I have a musical background. I didn't even talk about that, but yeah, I play piano and guitar and sing and harmonica and like some stuff like that. But
Jeez.
I was I was the lead singer of my own rock band in the 2000s. My band was called the Virgineers.
All right.
We played like blues, rock and roll, country, that kind of thing. It was like a 9-piece band, and so I have like a musical background as a singer and a songwriter. And then I just kind of lost interest. I also I still have a lot of friends. All my friends are in the music industry, or they're trying to make it, you know, and it's kind of a sad story, the music industry. There's just not a lot of money in it, you know. I have friends that are in bands. I have friends that are in bands that are fucking serious people. You know what I mean? Like, this is not just a garage band. These guys are serious acts, and they're still struggling, so.
Oh, yeah. Now, I've got a place out by me called the Drunken Donut, and they have open mics all the time. And, man, you can go in there, and you will find all of the best local talent in there. And it's like, these guys go and play their asses off at all these local joints, and it's like, but no music label wants these guys nowadays because it's not what the music industry is all about.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no money in the industry. Like, new bands aren't being signed. There's just, you know, it's fucked up. So I just kind of lost interest and stopped doing music. But as far as inspiration, it's kind of funny because I get suggestions a lot on music to use, but I purposely use music that is not political. I use apolitical music pretty much always.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. And there's a couple different reasons. One, I just think it's like too on the nose to use like a Rage Against the Machine song. Like, yeah, you know, like you get it. They're fucking socialist activists. So am I. Like, that seems a little bit easy. So when I choose music, like, I'm a hip hop fan. You know what I mean? That's like the style of music that I listen to the most, amongst other things. We all go through phases. You know, I went through my rock and roll phase and my jazz phase and my country phase, and I never listened to a lot of punk rock or hardcore. I know that's what you're into.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of miss that. Like, all the younger dudes are into that, but like that wasn't really around for us as like a child of the 90s and the 2000s. I mean, it was around, but like
not as.
Yeah, I listened to like Blink-182 in high school and shit like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm seeing them next month, actually. It's funny you mentioned them.
Who's the singer of that band now? Is it the guy from Alkaline Trio?
I'm pretty sure he's still in it. I can't remember his name, but yeah, since that switch, I don't think they've gone back.
Yeah, so the music that I use, it's literally, like I said before, it's the music that I'm listening to at that moment. You know what I mean? I want people to watch and listen to these videos, and just it's extremely personal without actually talking or showing my face. So like, these are the images in the music that I'm listening to and that I'm constantly looking at. Like, I like buildings. I like subways, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so the music is purposely, like I said, non-political music. Like, I want it to be like a capture a feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I'll hear a song no matter who it is. It could be like a song from the 70s or whatever. And if it has like that certain frequency to it that catches my ear, you know what I mean? Then I'll use that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you know, but I'm constantly trying to always use new music as well, specifically new hip hop, just because like that's the world that I swim in, and that's what's interesting me right now. And that's kind of like the aesthetic I'm going for, I suppose. But it's kind of tough when you're editing with music. I'm constantly looking for songs that have like 30-second intros with no vocals, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden break into some sick ass vocals, and then so I'm constantly looking for songs that do that. So that could be anything, you know what I mean? Because I need like 30 seconds of instrumental music where I can have Bernie or Tulsi or whatever talking over it, and then when they fucking drop the mic, then I drop the vocals, and then
Yep.
I put my name on the screen. So that's kind of the formula. So I'm constantly looking for songs. People send me songs and stuff, and so yeah, I mean, having a musical background myself has definitely like been a big part of it because I'm constantly cutting songs up. You know what I mean? Like I'll just do it by hand on my phone. Oh, by the way, I don't think I told everybody this. I don't own a computer. I edit 100% on my iPhone with a
There
free.
you go.
Yeah, I forgot to say that. Yeah, with a free app. It's called Video Leap. I downloaded it years ago. I still use it today.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're still on the Video Leap, huh?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Video Leap. I'm about it. I'm about it. So
you're about that life, huh?
Yeah, so I use that, and I still edit everything on my phone, which makes it so I can do it really quickly. You know what I mean? Like I could be watching a debate live and then screen recording on my phone while it's happening, and then be editing and be able to kick out debate videos while the debate's happening. You know what I mean?
No, it's super easy now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but sometimes I have to cut songs up. Like I said, if it's not 30 seconds of instrumental and then vocals, I have to make it 30 seconds of instrumental and vocals. So, like, a lot of songs will just be like 7 seconds in the beginning of a song, and then it breaks into the vocals. So I have to loop that 7 seconds. So I think that me having like a musical background has made it a lot easier for me to cut up music myself to make it how I fucking need it. But
yeah,
you'd be a lot surprised. A lot of the time when like if you're watching a video of mine and it seems like it's going to the beat. You know what I mean? Like, I obviously always strive to do that, but a lot of times, man, it just happens. Like, I'm always amazed how many times, and this goes as a songwriter or musicians in general, a lot of the best ideas come when you're not even trying. And they're always, like, you'll hit a wrong chord, and you'll be like, oh, fuck, that actually sounds great.
Like, that sounds good.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah. So, yeah, to answer the question, my musical background is a huge part of what I do, and music is always going to be like a huge part of what I do. Even though when I do start making money, I have to stop using copyrighted music.
Yep, right. Yeah, at that point, you're like, I might have to pull out the guitar again.
Yeah, which is good because my older brother, I use his music a lot, and I always tag him in it. His name is DM Apparizioni. Apparizioni is not our real last name, but it means ghost or apparition in Italian. My brother's way more into being Italian than I am, and I'm pretty psyched on being Italian. It's funny, my brother just texted me. He just texted me, did you know that Pete Townsend got busted with kiddie porn?
What?
You know Pete Townsend from The Who? Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know about it. Well, fun
That's
little
weird.
Breaking news fact right here, huh?
Yeah, me and my older brother, we have like this weird psychic connection. He just texted me while I was talking to you. That's fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Shout out to Dean. He lives up in Northern California. My brother's a genius musician, a composer. He's the best songwriter that I know. I think he's one of the best songwriters of his generation. He never got his due, but he does a nice chunk of my music. He's in the middle of making his masterpiece record right now, which is a lot of instrumental stuff. So a lot of the music you guys see when I tag him, I use a lot of his stuff. So going forward, when I start to monetize my shit more, I'll probably just be using his music because his catalogs are endless. He's like Prince, but like not Prince. And still alive. So I'm good on that. Eventually I have to stop using fucking, Frank Ocean songs. And, you know what I mean? But like, I just do it now until they tell me not to. I don't really give a fuck. I'll steal from anybody. So anyways, yeah, that's it.
Well, music's a big part of that's something I feel like moving forward through this series I'm gonna find out that music's a big inspiration and part of people's involvement in politics.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's my way of pulling people in, like I've said before. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to not even realize that they're learning something about democracy whilst listening to the hottest new track of the week.
You're like, I'm gonna subliminally get you interested in our political system.
No, exactly. It's funny you say that, yeah, because that's the word, is that I'm really into subliminal messages. You know what I mean? Like, I like that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's an 80s movie called They Live. You ever seen this flick?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, dude, you got to watch it.
Live.
It's a 1988 John Carpenter. John Carpenter did Escape from New York and a bunch of other shit. But watch They Live. It's starring Roddy Piper.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you've probably seen the meme where he's wearing sunglasses and then he pulls the sunglasses up and you see like a different image. And then
Yeah,
you put
is
them
that
down.
him?
Yeah, it's from that movie. Is that like
Okay.
there's the whole idea of the movie is that there's billboards everywhere in downtown Los Angeles and they all say things, but if you put the glasses on, you can see what they're really saying, which means like obey. Like I'm pretty sure that Shepard Fairey, the obey guy, I'm pretty sure he got obey from this film.
That would make sense.
Yeah, so the whole idea of the movie is that like the 1% are actually aliens. And they've enslaved all of us, but if you wear these special sunglasses, then you can see their fucking alien mugs, and then you can kill them.
What the hell?
Anyways, yeah, so subliminal messaging is something that I've always been kind of interested in. I actually use music a lot of the times when I'm using, like, supermarket grocery music, you know? I use that a lot.
Yeah.
Those are actual tracks from a record called Sounds of the Supermarket from the 70s that was created by a supermarket company where there's literally subliminal messages in that music that I use a lot.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that idea got me flown where I was like, exactly, I want this to almost be subliminal. Me talking about you need to fucking overthrow our corporate overlords. They're ruining our fucking lives. Yeah. And the reason why you can't get everything that you want is because of these motherfuckers. Also listen to this track.
Listen to this.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah. Next question.
Subliminal, yeah, that's another thing. Because when I first started this page, too, you know, it was... We did news articles, but also when I first started, it was like a meme-based page where we'd find ways to, you know, put news into memes to trick people with the latest memes and be like, wait a second here.
Exactly, I do that a lot. I think we all follow Hood Clips on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I'll take a lot of their memes, their video memes, and then I'll just reappropriate it for Bernie Sanders. I do that.
Yep.
I do that kind of regularly. So people probably notice, but. Also originally, like you, I was just fascinated with memes. You know, the whole idea of reappropriating something to say something else. You know,
yep.
It's I think it's kind of like a form of it's something called Wellerism. I don't know if you know what a Wellerism is.
No, not familiar with the term.
Yeah, the best example of Wellerism is like that's what she said.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The idea of somebody says something, and then your reply to them actually changes the meaning of what the original person said.
Got you.
So like, yeah. So if I'm like, man, I could really, I can really use a fucking. I'm gonna poke this thing or whatever, right? And somebody will say like, that's what she said. You'd be like, oh shit, you just changed what I said. You know what I mean? By your response. So that's what a Wellerism is. I think like the original one from way back in the day was like when people would say like, oh yeah, said the actress to the bishop. It's like an old stupid like Dickensian phrase or something like that. But that's basically what a meme is. A meme is taking something that was intended to be a thing and changing the meaning of that image or video to say what you want to say, you know? So I've always kind of been interested in that sort of thing. So I got fascinated with memes, I think like you did, that you can pretty much do anything. You know, you can take somebody's reaction to something on a reality television show, or like I not really low-key, watch Jersey Shore a lot. And so like in the beginning I would use Jersey Shore reactions and shit to talk about, universal healthcare and shit like that. So yeah, I get really interested in the memes and what the young kids were doing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely that's one thing I always joke about too with the memes. I'm like, man, if you can find some way to put those memes into like school textbooks where we can, use
they probably
those
will, man.
Oh man, that would be the best way. I bet our grades would go up and all that.
That's really good, man. I'm actually going to use that in my utopian, dystopian future news stuff.
There you go.
Where like memes actually become part of curriculum. You know what I mean?
It's something I've talked about before. I'm like, man, that would just be, I guarantee you, just with people's attention span nowadays, I'm like, you just got to grab their attention long enough. But, let's see here. What else we got here? All right. What would be your overall top 3 achievements, either through body politic or throughout your whole career? I know, these are...
No, yeah, I mean, I can answer that. I think in my young life, like, assembling a rock and roll band and making a record and playing big shows and stuff was huge for me. because I grew up kind of like musically. I didn't really play much when I was in high school. But my brother at the time, Dino, he was part of like a legendary underground like black metal band in the Bay Area.
There we go.
Yeah, so my brother was always like, he was a prodigy. At like 16, 17 years old, he was writing like local hits. You know what I mean? Like shit on the radio. His shows would be totally packed. Everybody knew the lyrics. You know, so musically speaking, like my brother was always like a giant. And then I started playing a little bit. And then he ended up joining my band. So I think even though the music thing didn't really go anywhere, that was a big accomplishment for me that I proved to myself I could do this. You know, I think as a kid, I always wanted, I was like, man, I could be a singer of a rock band one day, bro. I could totally do that. And then I actually made it happen. So that was kind of tough. And then second, I would say I think I'm the only person in my entire family ever to graduate from a university.
There you go.
Yeah, because like my pops is a good dude. He's a working dude. You know what I mean? He works in the roofing industry, still does. Yeah. He's like 60. How old is he now? 62. He still goes up roofs every day, fucking pounding nails with hammers and shit.
Jeez.
Like it's fucking hard work. My mom lives out in New York. She's always doing different jobs and stuff. So yeah, nobody ever graduated from a university, and you know, it took me 6 years, but I fucking went there and I did it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my grades were all right. So graduating from college was huge.
There you go.
And then third is probably, I guess, successfully infiltrating the Democratic Party and like working for the party, and then like moving up kind of quickly. It's kind of funny. Most people don't actually pursue politics or electoral politics as like a job. So I found it to be really easy to move up. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, I'm already in the room. I'm in a room with Barack Obama right now. I'm in a room with Michelle Obama right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm shaking hands with fucking, you know. So it was easy to get up in there. So that was always something I dreamed of doing. And then quitting the Wall Street job and joining campaigns was huge for me.
There you go.
And then and proving that I could do it. And then starting body politic and building it into a brand that like still a small amount of people, but like something that people you know, watch every day and follow and really enjoy. And you know, I get messages all the time from followers that like I'm like their favorite account or like their show. You know, I didn't really realize it at first. You know what I mean? That like I think where it kind of crystallized is when I went to a Bernie Sanders rally months ago or whatever, and like I got recognized by people.
I was gonna ask about if that's ever happened with you yet.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, yeah. I've been saying I'm not famous, but I'm like Bernie Sanders rally level famous.
Yeah, I mean? that's good.
Yeah, but people would come to me and be like, "You're Danny from Body Politic," and I'm like, "Holy shit! I didn't know that was a thing." Like I'm really naive, man, and like I'm not a very smart dude. I always try to say that. Like I'm not like inherently like a smart guy. I don't read half as much as I should. I have kind of trouble reading sometimes. And like so I have to work really hard just to get to like this level of like kind of a bozo that has the right idea. I'm on the right team, but like I have the ability to make videos that look tight. But like I don't know. I still don't feel like I'm very smart. And I say that because like the movement that me and you are in, all of us are in, like it seems like a fucking no-brainer.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we're just saying stuff that's common sense, right?
Yeah, I say this all the time when people are like, who are you going to support in the primary? I'm like, it's not even close. Like, not even close. Like, Bernie Sanders is playing over here in this game, and everybody else is over here in the minor leagues. Like, it's not even a question. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Tulsi Gabbard. If there was no Bernie, I'd probably be with Tulsi. She's a good girl. Yeah. I just called her a girl. She's a great congresswoman. Yeah, that was scratch that.
I was gonna say, I'm sure the comments are gonna fucking chew on you for that one.
Yeah, nobody cares about me enough to. Yeah, but yeah, but so, and that's why I say like I don't, you know, because this is all should be common sense. Like obviously, if you have a choice between a candidate that takes all their money from banks and fucking big pharma, like for instance Pete Buttigieg, my favorite, or you have a choice of the real thing. An actual grassroots campaign, a dude that cares about you, uncorrupted, yada yada, wants to bring healthcare to the people, all that kind of stuff. That seems like a fucking no-brainer. So like, it's a low bar, I think. You know, that's why it's really frustrating for me, man. Is that
it's socialism?
Yeah, exactly right. It's hard, and it's honestly difficult for me to talk politics in public anymore. Like, I used to do it for a living.
Yeah.
But now that I know shit, a little bit of shit, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, you know, like the curtain has been pulled back from my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to go back, and it's hard for me to even have real conversations in public about politics today, because I have no patience entertaining the silliness. Like,
Yeah.
Joe Biden, fuck Joe Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no one gives a fuck about Joe Biden.
it drives me fucking crazy. So, like, I just can't really do it anymore, man. Like, I get really frustrated in public because I feel like this should be an absolute no-brainer. And these things are obvious. The things that we're fighting for are like this. It's the same shit that we've been fighting for hundreds of years, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's not radical. Like,
no, when every other country has what we're trying to fight for, you know, I don't think that's too radical. I think that's called common.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for instance, you hear that argument a lot. They're like, single-payer Medicare for all will never happen in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my first thought is, well, every other country does it, and you say that we're the greatest country in the history of Earth. So why can't we have a better healthcare system, than England and Canada and shit? Like, you're saying America can't figure out how to give everybody fucking healthcare? So, like, it just drives me fucking crazy, and I guess it's sort of like a disillusionment, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not disillusioned. I'm as engaged as I've ever been, at least online. It's all very frustrating, man. It's all very frustrating. And I'm trying to remember the original question. Oh, yeah, my 3 greatest accomplishments, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was like, oh, man, now I kind of forgot, too, where we were at. Okay.
Yeah, so the third accomplishment would be doing this, you know what I mean? And people really like it, and it makes me happy, man, because I put a lot of fucking work into it, and I feel like we're doing super important work, and I'm just psyched to be a part of the fucking movement, be a little corner, a little slice of the greater movement, I suppose.
Right. No, it's good that we're, part of what we know is the better good for the future generations,
Exactly, yeah. It's tough, too, man, because, like, there ain't a lot of money in left-wing activist politics.
No.
That's what I've learned.
I'm not looking to get rich off of doing this page. Just like, you're not
I want to make a living.
To get rich off. Yeah. It's like, that's just all I want. I just want to be able to pay the bills, go out and enjoy myself, and do what I like doing. And that's this, So I'm not looking to get rich. That's why I'm not sure how you set up your Patreon goals or stuff, if it's community-based or, how much money you get a month based. Yeah, I've recently switched mine from the monetary to the community-based, so it's like my first goal now is to have 100 monthly supporters. Doesn't matter if it's $1, $3, or $5. All that matters is, these people are behind this and supporting it.
Yeah. So, we'll see. It'd be nice to make a living, and I think I can do it. If fucking Kyle Kalinske can do it, and that's nothing against Kyle. He's a super smart fucking dude. He helped create Justice Democrats, fucking, you know what I mean? But that guy's making serious fucking money. So I need to get a little bit of that money, because I just want to do this for a job. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what else? Oh, when we were talking about the radical ideas earlier, have you watched the Joe Rogan podcast that Bernie was on?
I just finished it this morning, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that part when he actually mentioned it. I think Joe Rogan said that he was pushing radical ideas, or everyone's calling Bernie's ideas radical, and he was like, Joe, I don't think these are very radical ideas when every other country does it. And it's like, there you go, Bernie. Yeah,
exactly.
There you go. But what else we got for you here? What else could we possibly go over? How about what are some of your biggest political figures that have inspired you to get involved also? I know you mentioned
Bobby.
Bobby Kennedy earlier.
Yeah, originally, as far as like American actual elected politicians, it was Bobby Kennedy, and I was fascinated by him, because he's a rich boy. The Kennedys were fucking 1%ers.
Yep.
But Bobby's transformation in the 60s was always really interesting to me, because he started off in the early 60s as Attorney General for his brother, and he was as straight-laced establishment, not really giving a fuck about civil rights. Neither of them did in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They were aware of it, but it was the definition of white privilege at the time. They were just like, I don't even know how bad it is. And watching Bobby's transformation over the 60s into a pretty radical figure as far as mainstream politics can go, was inspiring to me. You know what I mean? So I was really into Bobby. Also, Malcolm X is huge
There
for
you
me.
go.
Like, yeah, I've read the autobiography a bunch of times. I got my dad to read it last year, which was cool. You know, it's funny. My dad, not really a political person, but he's on the Bernie Sanders train now. He knows all about it. You know,
There we
both my
go.
parents actually. Yeah. So so Malcolm is huge. Dr. King, obviously. As far as political theory goes, you know, I'd like to dabble in philosophy and that sort of thing. So I would say Karl Marx, of course. You know what I mean? Like the Communist Manifesto is a fantastic read. It's a fantastic read. You should check it out. Henry George was a early 1900s, late 1800s politician and writer. He wrote a book called Poverty and Progress. He also ran for mayor of New York City on a third-party People's Party ticket and almost fucking won back in like 1890 something. People call him like the Bernie Sanders of the day. So Henry George was huge. What are the political theorists? John Maynard Keynes. Sorry, I just stepped on a beer can.
You're good.
John Maynard Keynes. Keynesian economics is well known. You know, he was like a British economist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Bernie Sanders. Bernie's huge.
Of course.
But Bernie's his influences are also mine. You know what I mean? With Eugene Debs is a big time figure. There's a lot of like you know, I'm Italian American, so the history of like Italian politics is pretty fucking radical, actually, dude. So like Fiorello LaGuardia, the mayor of New York City, was a big influence. You know, I just get pride that he's part of my tribe. I'm like, all right, there was a fucking Italian that was doing things. You know, not so much like Rudy Giuliani. He's like a stain on the Italian Americans. But there's a lot of like Italian activists at the time, anarchist communists that I draw inspiration from. So, you know, the labor movement in general, you know, like this, I look at us as like doing something that has been happening for hundreds of years. So like our movement is basically, we're trying to create a society, a planet, you know, that is, I don't want to use the word utopia, but like these are things that people have been striving for hundreds of years. Like we're trying to create a planet where people can respect one another and we can harness the elements to power our Earth, you know, and we can respect the environment and respect animals and little insects, and we can live in like a world that is right and just and beautiful, I guess. You know what I mean? So, and this movement goes back. It goes back to civil rights, obviously, women's rights, gay rights, the labor movements of the early 1900s, the Progressive era. It goes to the French Revolution, even the American Revolution, which was different. All the way back to like fucking medieval kingdoms and like peasants. You know what I mean? So like, I don't look at me and you as that much different than like peasants in the 1400s.
I mean, honestly.
Like, and not, I mean, things are better now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm living an okay life. You know what I mean? But it's part of a greater movement. You know what I mean? And I look at us as just another part in that. But we have a responsibility, but we also have an opportunity to really like solidify a lot of these dreams that like regular fucking human beings have been fighting for literally hundreds of years. You know, even going back to fucking Jesus Christ, dude. You know what I mean? Like, if that fool was alive, which he could have been, like Jesus was a pretty kick-ass dude. You know what I mean? Like, his followers today are kind of terrible. But so it's funny, like when religion comes up, like I'm not one to bash religious people. Like organized religion, it's a fucking problem. It's a fucking problem. Been a problem for a long time. But all of my peoples, my relatives, Italians, they're all fucking Catholics and they're serious about it. So when somebody says like, if you believe in God, you're a fucking idiot, I want to fucking be that person in the head. So I'm like, you just call my family idiots, and they're not fucking idiots, sir.
Like, calm the fuck down, my guys.
Exactly, yeah. So when people ask me about religion and stuff, you know what I mean? I'm just like, Jesus was a great fucking dude. You know what I mean? That's one way to go about. It's one way to go about it, because that guy, all he cared about was helping poor people, yada yada yada. So
you tell that to people nowadays, though, they're like, what?
Yeah. So to answer the question, my inspirations go from Bernie Sanders, today, I guess all the way back to fucking Christ himself. For real though, I mean that sounds crazy, but it's kind of
Yeah,
true. You know what I mean? And everybody in between. You know. So I'm just excited to be a part of the movement, man. And we have a real chance, like I said, to do some real ass shit in our lifetimes.
Yep. No.
And it's tough, and like that's why it's also hard for me to like talk talk shop politics like in public, and it's just because like it's not like I'm like above everybody in my thought. Like I said, I'm a dum dum, but like it's just that we're just talking about different shit, man. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about, well, the middle class's taxes are going to go up. You know what I mean? Like if we have Medicare for all, it's like, bro, what are you talking about, man? Like we're talking about utopia, fucking harmony on earth shit, and you're talking about taxes, like little here and there. It's like, bro. So it's there's like a disconnect for me. Is that like it's hard for me to articulate all the time, and like but I think we all have it in our heads of what we're thinking about. You know what I mean? Like things don't have to be this way, man. We can have the type of fucking planet we want to live on. You know what I mean? So it's like, so when you get pushback against the movement that we're in, I'm just like, dude, don't you understand? We're trying to fucking save the planet for humans. Like, that's really what we're doing, bro. Like, I know you want to squabble about this and that, and like, maybe Bernie fucking, isn't as tough on guns as you want it to be, but like, we're talking about something bigger, bro, and it's hard for me to even articulate it. It's kind of in the abstract, but it's not. So I think that plays back into the material that I put out every day. Is that like it's hard for me to talk about these things, and like like in the sound bites. So like I have to show it to people. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what we're trying to do. So yeah, so that's my inspiration.
And you gave off some good political figures right there. I mean, you listed off a good handful of them, so anyone listening definitely knows where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, people that are listening, like, look these people up and read their shit, man. Like, in particular, Henry George's book, Poverty and Progress, or Progress and Poverty, I don't know which one. It's written, like, in plain terms. It was written for the working man. And when that book came out, dude, it was the #1 fucking seller in the entire country at that time. And it was, like, kind of a hardcore fucking revolutionary book. You know what I mean? So, like, that hunger for what we're talking about has always been there with people. Is that, one, we didn't know it was possible to accomplish these things. And two, we got the fucking internet now. We all have fucking microphones. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. I think there's more of us, way more of us than them. You know what I mean? And all the people that are sitting on the sidelines that aren't as engaged in us as us, we're going to have to just drag them with us, man. Be like, we're going this fucking direction.
Yep, exactly.
Come with us if you want to live. You know what I mean? So, like, so that's where we're at. And I feel pretty good about it, man. I remember I talked to you a couple weeks ago, and I was saying how, like, I didn't think it was possible for Bernie Sanders to become president. And I still kind of believe that from a structural standpoint. Like, I don't... The party going to do everything they can to keep him away.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. We know how this works.
They're doing it today.
Yeah.
But Bernie has pivoted with his language and his aggression and his overall strategy. His campaign manager, Ashikir, total fucking gangster. Love that guy. But Bernie has pivoted, and he's been making conscious decisions on how he's going to run this campaign, and it's very encouraging to me. It gives me a little bit more hope that he actually might do this thing. Like, he's running directly in the face of the media. He's saying, fuck you guys. All right? You say fuck me. No, I say fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Exactly, yeah. And that's smart, man, because, like, who fucking likes the media, bro? Like,
exactly.
It is going to be kind of funny, though. If somehow we do get to a point where it is Bernie versus Trump in the end, you're going to have two candidates. You're going to have two candidates the media hates.
Yep. They're going to be like, which one do we give more time to? They're going to be very confused.
Yeah, it's going to be weird, man, because, like, they hate both of them, and Trump and Bernie hate them right back.
It's like, man, this is going to be good.
Yeah, so yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit better about the campaign. And, of course, the poll numbers are looking better.
Oh, yeah, no.
And
Kamala's
Bernie,
going down.
Yeah, she's... I don't think she's got it.
No.
She could have been president, like, 10 years ago, but not so much anymore.
Yeah.
So, but Bernie going on Joe Rogan, huge move. It was still #1 trending on YouTube this morning.
Yeah, and it had, what, like 2 million views, I think, within, like, the first day?
Yeah, last time I checked before I got on the phone with you was it was at 4.6 million.
Holy shit, man. Yeah, that was a good choice.
Huge choice for him, and I think he did a good job. I think he did a really good job.
Oh, no, yeah.
It was weird to listen to Bernie talk and not yell.
Right? Yeah, yeah. He was like more. He was on his calm side, not on the defensive. You know.
Yeah, it was nice. And Rogan is, a lot of people think a lot of things about Joe Rogan. I'm a fan of the podcast.
Yeah, I am
Um,
too.
yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean, I would say I don't agree with his politics, but Joe Rogan doesn't really have hardcore politics. Like
No.
he seems to kind of morph into the person that's sitting across from him.
Yeah.
He'll have like a hardcore right wing person on there, and a lot of people are like, he's a fucking I saw people today on Twitter saying that Joe Rogan was right wing media. I'm like, dude, he's had
What?
Kyle Kalinske on 3 times.
Yeah.
He's
He
had
just
he's had
gives
Tulsi on twice.
everybody a microphone. That's all he does. He gives anybody a microphone that wants to come on his show and talk. You know, he's definitely had some questionable, like, right-leaning people on there, but again, he has
Big
them
time.
come on. He lets them make fools of, themselves on his show. So
Yeah.
it's like he's
so-
just doing it for the views at that point.
Yeah. So it was a good move from Bernie. I really like the podcast, and Bernie's almost there. He's almost there on explaining on his positions. He still falls into some habits that I don't like. Like, I'm not being paid to advise the guy, but sometimes when he explains things, his initial his gut reaction is to kind of go into the abstract when he's explaining things. So like Rogan will ask him, and Rogan kind of represents the everyman. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, bro, this Medicare for all thing sounds great, but like, how are you actually going to do it? You know what I mean? Like you talk about taking the power away from Big Pharma and the insurance lobby, but how are you actually going to do that? And Bernie doesn't answer the question right away. Like, when somebody says, how are you going to get money out of politics? He's got to say, constitutional amendment, 2/3 of the states, convention, money out of politics, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And the way that we do that is building a giant movement, which is already kind of there. So, but Bernie kind of skips the first part and goes straight into the movement. So it's more of an abstract answer. And I wish and he's been doing better at it. But I wish you would answer the question directly right away. Like, are taxes going to go up in the middle class? Yes. But I'm going to save you $5,000 a year.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to go into my spiel. So Byrne's getting there. Yeah, he's getting there. And I think that if he does break through and start answering things in the way that a lot of us want, it's not just me saying this, Kalinske, all those guys say it.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I think Kalinske said it like the last time after the debate or something when me and you did a stream and afterwards, because we said the same thing like on our stream, like, oh, he's got to reword how he takes on Medicare for all.
So he's starting to do it. He's starting to do it, and I think if he does do that, then he's got a real shot to overtake all of the things that are against us. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. I'm feeling pretty good about it though.
No, the campaign's definitely doing better.
Yeah.
So, well, you know what, man?
Is that it?
Well, I was going to say, we're getting on the hour and a half mark here. I was going to say if we want to wrap it up here, if you have any big things coming up, or here, let's wrap it up on, how about this? I got a question here. What is the biggest issue overall that you think needs to be addressed?
I think from anybody that follows me would know that the entire page and organization, if you will, was all founded on the idea of getting big money out of politics. So fixing our democracy and the way that we elect our representatives is, to me, still the number one issue. And that's not to downplay other issues. It's just that getting money out of politics and moving the public in front of elections, basically taking the power away from special interests and billionaires from influencing our politicians or bribing our politicians. That is the most important thing because it affects all issues. The reason why we're not fighting climate change is because oil companies bribe our politicians to not deal with climate change. The reason why we don't have health care, same thing. They bribe our politicians to not care about health care. So this issue is the issue of all issues. It's like cutting the head off the snake type thing. You know what I mean? Or like if you're fighting a battle, like a crazy battle, like running past the front lines and going all the way to the top of the castle and killing the fucking king. You know what I mean? Like it's taken away, it's hitting all of our issues and like attacking the core of these issues. So again, there's organizations like Wolfpack, Represent Us, Move to Amend. These guys are all working right now to get that constitutional amendment because there's one of two ways to do it. You can do it in Congress, but I don't think this Congress is going to, they're not going to go out of their way to unline their own pockets and cut off their money sources. So it's kind of hopeless to try to pass an amendment through this current Congress. So we're trying to go through the states. I think there's like 10 states on board right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have 2/3 of the states. It's moving in that direction. But once we can do that, once we can make sure our elections are clean and publicly funded, like other countries do it, in other countries they call it bribery. We call it lobbying.
Yeah.
Some weird little doublespeak there. So once we do that, then we can actually attack the issues and pass the bills that we need to pass. You know what I mean? Like, if it's because right now it's not a fair fight. Like, we are up against not just the Republican Party, not just the Democratic Party, but all of the people that fund them, and they're way too powerful, and we're never going to pass a lot of these bills until we end corruption and get money out of politics. So it's the number one issue. I try to say it as much as I possibly can. Sometimes I'll have a bunch of videos in a row where I get off tangent. I'm talking about Trump too much, and I'm like, shit, I need to go back to where this whole thing started and remind people that this is the issue of all issues. So, that it's something that I worked in the Democratic Party, like I said, for years, and I didn't even fucking think about this issue. It's something that a lot of people don't think about, and they don't make the connection or connect the dots when it's like, once you're like, oh my God, this is so fucking obvious. You know what I mean? But there's good people, tons of people, smart people that just don't ever think about this, and it's designed that way. They don't want you to think about it. They want you to go to sleep. They don't want you to vote. We know they're making it more and more difficult to vote. When in actuality, you should make it super difficult to not vote. Like, if you're a person, it should be that if you didn't vote, they're like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? It's so easy. You know what I mean? So the entire way that we elect representatives is completely fucked and carefully designed to keep the people in power that are keeping us from living our best fucking life. So to answer your question, it is the number one issue. It's something that I think about on a daily basis. And I'm trying to put out fucking hot fire videos that talk about that issue.
Hell yeah, man. Well, you heard the man. We need to get money out of politics because that money is controlling the politics that we hate every day. So, Danny, it's been good having you on for this first episode. It's been good talking to you and getting to hear your background and where you started and all that. And, I'm looking forward to doing more with you in the future.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad that I could be on your first episode. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, man. You want to tell these guys where they can follow you, support you, your Patreon, and all that fun stuff?
Yeah. My main platform is Instagram. It's at BodyPolitic2019. Somebody else owns the name Body Politics, so I had to throw the year at the end of it. So it's BodyPolitic2019 on Instagram. It's BodyPolitic2019 on Twitter. And then I also have a YouTube channel. You can just search Body Politic News, and the channel's there. And then there's a link on my Instagram to my Patreon. So if people are interested in what I'm doing and enjoy my page, then throw me a couple bucks. I'm trying to quit my real job and make a living at this. So yeah, that's it. And eventually I'll get a website. I need to get a website.
Yeah, I just launched one too, so it's been something I've stagged on a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
But, well,
right,
man,
brother.
It's been good.
Yes, sir.
It's been good. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good week.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.
You too. And that's this week's episode of Fireside Chats. I hope you guys enjoyed conversations that we had, and as always, please make sure to subscribe to the show on Spotify and Apple Music. That's at the Daily Ember on Spotify or Apple Music. So make sure, once again, please go subscribe and support the show today. And remember, tune in 2 weeks for the next episode of Fireside Chats.